Welcome back to Phoenix Plays a Game. I am Phoenix. I am a chess expert and a risk master, hoping to get better at both, a fan of all strategy games. But did you know that I am also a private pilot? Yes, that's what I like to do in my free time. I am a licensed pilot to fly in the United States. And today, I thought I would take you on a little tour of Arizona, to be specific, in one of my favorite planes, the Cessna 172. It looks like this, and we are flying this bad boy today. Check 1, 2. Yeah, get it. It's a radio and a chess joke all in one. That's what you came to the channel for. So we are going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go ahead and hide my face. I'm hoping to do a lot of these with you. I have a fun tour planned. I've never done it before, but I want to check it out. So we are sitting in the 172. You are right here. I am right here. I'll be flying, and you just look out the window, okay? All right. First thing we want to do, make sure our parking brake is set. That is firm in place. Now, I have hidden the yoke because it is in the way. In real life, of course, I would just look around this thing, but we're going to hide it for the purposes of this video. Now, we want to start this bad boy. First thing we got to do is make sure it's got some fuel. So let's go ahead and set that mixture to rich. And we got to make sure our fuel valve is on so that fuel can flow to the engines. Okay, is anybody around? Nobody's around. I'm about to spin a blade right there in the front of the plane very quickly. So the first thing I have to do is open up my window and tell everybody, clear prop. And of course, there's nobody around, and they're all digital people anyway. So if they get their head chopped off, we'll just make another one of them. Okay, fuel pump on. Let's pump some fuel to the engine. Turn that off. Let's get the battery and the alternator going so we get some lights in this cockpit. That's better, isn't it? Now everybody can see. If it was nighttime, this would be cold and dark. All right, now we have to give it just a little bit of fuel. I've got a little switch on my joystick here to do that, but in real life, I would just grab this little guy and push it a little bit forwards, but I can just do that with the joystick. So we're going to go ahead and give it just a little bit of fuel, not too much. We don't want to test that parking brake. And then we're going to finally flip this guy to on. And we should see the engine start. Oh yeah, I love that purr. The engine is spinning. You can see that little flicker right there. That's the best part of my day when I'm flying a plane. Yeah, I like to do this as a relaxing thing. I've been interested in aviation since I was a little boy. When I was a little kid, I was like, how do planes even stay up in the air? Who knows? Okay, I skipped a very important step, turning on the beacon light. The beacon light is on the outside of the aircraft, and it tells people that your engine is about to start. You see it flashing on the back, on the tail there? It says, hey, this aircraft has a running engine, so even though you can't really see the propeller, trust us, it's there. So a very important safety measure to turn that on. Okay, the fuel pump is off. And we want to turn on next, now that the engine is running and we have power, we want to fire up our avionics. That's this Garmin over here. We are at Sedona. That is SEZ in Arizona. So we want to use this top Garmin to do two things. Our navigational frequencies and our communication frequencies. I have to get the weather so that I know where the wind is coming from, so that I can fly this thing. I think a lot of people, they fly commercial and they don't realize the degree to which wind really knocks a plane around. When you don't have tires on the ground, I don't care how big your plane is, you don't have anything to resist it. So let's hit enter. Okay, that looks good. Instrument panel self-test, great. Now we have a tiny little navigation thing here in the middle, but we could change that by pressing any of these buttons. But here's our communication to radio. So yeah, back to the wind. I think that it's really underappreciated how much wind affects an airplane. So we're going to tune it to the frequency, which I can get off of. These days you use an app. Back when I was learning to fly, you used a paper map, and you look it up in a database what the frequency was. So let's listen to the weather.
Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu, automated weather observation 1600 Zulu. Wind 150 at Niner. Visibility 10. Sky condition clear. Temperature 20 Celsius. Dew point 10 Celsius. Altimeter 29er 89er.
Okay, there you go. So we can turn that off now. We're going to tune to the Unicom frequency. In a bigger airport, they would have somebody on the radio telling you about the ground, directing you on the ground, and then they would also have a tower to tell you to take off. In smaller or like medium airports, that's the same person, but in the giant airports like JFK, LAX, something like that in Chicago or Atlanta, you would have two very, very different people doing that. So here, this is such a small airport that nobody is in a tower. In fact, there is no tower at all. We go outside the aircraft, you can see there's no such thing as a tower. And I think another thing people don't appreciate, those are radios, those aren't like control towers. I think people don't appreciate about this kind of thing is that in aviation, most airports have no towers. It's pilots like us talking to each other on what we call the Unicom, or the Unified Communications Frequency, which at this airport is 123.00, which I have dialed in here. So let's go over the weather. They told us that wind was 150 at Niner. And what that means is that the wind is coming from 150 heading, this 15 here. So it's hitting me from this side. And so because of that, we're going to take runway 21. It's the closest one to the wind. Our choices are 21 or 3. So we're going to depart on runway 21, and we're going to have a little bit of a crosswind. So on our takeoff, it's going to be a little bit bumpy, but not too bad. Okay, they then said visibility 10, sky conditions clear. And sky conditions clear makes sense to me. I confirm that with my eyes. Oh, hello, sir. What's your name? Oh, you don't have a name? You're just an AI? Oh, no, are you going to hit me? No, you're turning in here? You are going to hit me, aren't you? Get out of my way. Give me clearance. Okay, I don't think I'm in the way. Let's see, am I? He hit me. Okay, well, it's an AI, so it doesn't actually count. So, I'm not exactly in a parking spot. I'm not supposed to be here. So in real life, he would just stop. But let's also pull the throttle back, and we can actually turn the mixture back. Uses less fuel. The mixture is like air to fuel ratio. So we're going to pull that back. Okay. So we have a 10 statute miles visibility. That is the most you're going to get at an airport. After 10 statute miles, they stop telling you any further. And then we have sky conditions clear. So perfect weather today. The weather is 21 degrees Celsius and the dew point is 10, which tells me that I'd have to climb very, very high in the air before I would worry about icing on my carburetor, because there's a huge spread, an 11-degree spread between the degrees, 21, and the dew point, which is 10, which has to do with humidity. Okay, altimeter is 29er 89er, and any good pilot knows that standard temperature or standard air pressure is 29er 92. Right here, 29er 92 inches of mercury, 29.92 inches of mercury, but ours is only 29.89 at this airport. So we're going to dial that back, and when I do that, you'll see the altimeter change. There it is. See how I dropped? Okay, so that's the field elevation is 4,000. You read it like hours, 4,800 and like 20 feet. 4,820 right here. Okay, we have our weather. We have our route that we want to fly. I think it is actually tuned to go directly to our destination airport today. We are going to be landing at Cottonwood. We're not coming back to Sedona, but we are going to do a little tour of the mountains, and then we're going to take a tour around. Are my flaps down? Why are my flaps down? I don't want my flaps down. Put those flaps out of here. That's ridiculous. I don't know who put those down. Maybe the last guy left it there. Okay. So now we want to announce to people on our Unicom frequency that we are taxiing. So, pardon me, be silent. Shh. Be silent for a moment. I have to focus. Sedona traffic, check 12, Cessna on the west ramp for taxiing for departure, runway 21, departure to the south. Okay, there we go. We've made our radio call. I'm back with you. You can talk again. And we're going to release our parking brake, and we're going to start taxiing out to the runway. On our way, we're going to be looking at the controls. Now, I've noticed already that my rudder is a little bit lazy to react. I'm not really feeling it the way that I want to be feeling it. Don't tell anybody, it's actually my joystick. But I'm going to pretend it's the plane. Okay, so we want to stay on the center line. And if you see right ahead of us, you can see that there is a sign. It says A2 21.3. What does that mean? A2 is this this path right here, A2, is a way to enter the runway. It's Alpha 2. And then it says that runway 21 is to the left, that way. And runway 3 is to the right, that way. So, of course, we want to go to runway 21. That's what we said we're going to do. So we're going to turn to the left. So let's go ahead and do that. Checking for traffic in either direction. I see none. Let's go ahead. Ooh, my rudder really is bad. I got to calibrate this joystick. I mean, take the plane in for maintenance to the hangar. Nah, just kidding, everybody. It is definitely, the joystick is not quite calibrated very well. So we're going to have to just take a wide turn, and we'll just deal with that in the sky. So here we go. We're taxiing on taxiway Alpha. I'm just going quite slow. And we're just going to start controlling the nose wheel with the rudder a little bit. We got to come up to the hold short line. That's the fence of the airport there, Sedona. And what we want to do is we do want to angle it just slightly to the left. Why? So that we can look up there and see if there's any planes coming for us. I see none. So I think we're okay. Okay. Now, my radio call will go like this. Sedona traffic, check 12, departing runway 21, departure to the south. Now let's go mixture full. And we're going to taxi onto the runway. In fact, I will do this in-game. Watch this. Announce takeoff, departure south.
Kilo Sierra Echo Zulu traffic check 12, taking off runway 21, departure to the south.
There you go. Okay, let's get on that center line. And then we're going to do our checks. Okay. Now, the mnemonic I always learned here is it was kind of more like a mantra, something we just repeat to ourselves. Flaps up. Flaps are up. Carb heat cold. Carb heat is cold. I don't even see a carb heat. It would normally be right here, but I guess this is a... yes, we have the fuel pump. So there is no carburetor here. This is fuel injection. And then full power on the roll. So what we're going to do is put our feet flat on the floor so that we don't accidentally hit the brake. We don't want our toes on the rudder. And we want to give it just a little bit of right rudder or aileron. But we definitely don't want to hit the brakes with our toes. We're going to keep the center line in sight. It's much harder, to be honest, in a simulator than it is in real life because the simulator reacts late to your controls. But in real life, it's kind of like driving a car. And we're up, and so we want to keep our nose on the threshold of the runway, pitching up at about 10 degrees. Let's try to climb at about 65 degrees, but it is a hot day here in Arizona, and it is a humid place to be. Excuse me, it's a dry place to be, but it is a high elevation. It's 5,000 feet already, so it's a bit difficult to climb. I'm watching my airspeed. It's at 60. You can see it right here. Right there. 60. And we don't want to go below that. You can go below that, but I don't want to go below that because it's a little bit more dangerous. And there's no reason to play with margins if you don't need them. Okay, we want to have a departure to the south. We're at 500 feet above, or 400 feet above elevation. Field elevation. I'm going to turn off to the south here, and then we're going to fly over this beautiful Arizona landscape. And in fact, I'm holding a lot of back pressure on the yoke. Not a yolk, it's not an egg, it's a yoke. No L. So we're going to trim backward to relieve that pressure. 2.4 degrees. Okay, let's see how that feels. Yeah, that's much better, much more comfortable for me. So let's go ahead and hit that button. What's that do? I don't even know. Maybe I click this button. Oh yeah, it centers me. Jet Airways out there. We're gonna do a little joyriding here. So welcome to Sedona. I hear it's your guys' first time here. You are in the Sierra Vista Mountains, I believe. I have lived in Arizona for quite some time. I believe right below us, if I'm not mistaken, is the 172 runway, but route. It's Route 172 through Arizona. 1 mile high. Look at that. 1 mile high. And in fact, we are. 5,280 feet is 1 mile high. And there we are. So we're overflying Sedona Field right now. Just wanted to give you a look at that. It's a very interesting airport because it's up on its own mountain plane. So the geography can be very disorienting to a pilot who's not used to it. When you come in for landing, you think you're high, but you aren't. You're not as high as it feels. So we are now 1,000 feet above elevation. So I'm gonna dial back the engine and we can just relax. Something people don't understand until they sit in a small plane like this is how thick the air is at these airspeeds. I'm going 90 miles an hour. When you're in a car going 90 miles an hour down the freeway, it feels like, you know, silent. It feels easy and smooth. Well, that's because your tires are on the ground resisting any changes to your direction. But when you are, okay, let's give it a little bit more gas, and we want to keep that nose up a little bit. So I'm going to turn up the throttle a little bit. I usually like to sit at about 2,300 RPM. I pull it back to about 20 when I'm landing. So let's go ahead and give that just a little bit more trim up. Okay, cool. Now, as I was saying, but when you open the window, if you stick your hand out of the airplane, it is quite difficult to resist that airflow. It's a lot on your hand. Well, that's what's hitting the entire aircraft and keeping it up in the air. Okay, we are taking the Route 179 south to Oak Creek. Oak Creek is a little village, I guess you could say, or it's a small town. I mean, it's the larger side of town, but a small side of a city. It's a bedroom community for Sedona and some of the surrounding areas. But this is one of the greatest destinations on the Western Arizona Wine Trail, or the Sedona Wine Trail. But you can see these beautiful mesas surrounding it, right? Look at that guy. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous mountains here. I love the landscape in Arizona. You can see forever. You're a mile above sea level. What does this button do? There we are. Welcome to Oak Creek, everybody. I used to fly with my head down in the cockpit like this. Like I'd spend most of the flight like this, like looking at my instruments. Is my airspeed okay? Is my attitude okay? Meaning this central one right here tells you if you're above the horizon or if you're crooked or something. And I got more experience. I got a better feel. And it's a lot like driving, where you just kind of understand your vehicle a little bit better. And then now I just look outside at the horizon. I was flying with somebody and I let him take the controls for just a little bit. And I said, okay, just keep the wings level. I'm going to do this like paperwork. And of course I was keeping an eye on the controls and, you know, one hand on the controls. But I gave it to him. He'd never flown before in his life, of course. And I said, yeah, keep the wings level. And then he would start to go like this. And I was like, yeah. And I put my hand back on the control. I said, yeah, okay, keep the wings level. And he asked me, after like the fourth time of doing this, how do you know that the wings are level? And I said, I look. I look outside. I don't know how to answer your question. I look outside the window. And I remembered immediately that that's what it was like when I first started flying, that I just couldn't tell. I couldn't tell that, like, I don't know if you can tell, but this is crooked, right? And that's level. And I'm not looking at the instruments. I'm just looking at those mountains in the distance. And that's how I know. So we are over the village of Oak Creek, but there actually is a creek down there called Oak Creek. Let's see if we can... Wouldn't do this in a normal plane, right? This is dangerous. Like this. Oh, look, a golf course. Cool. I'm actually going golfing tomorrow. I think I told you guys that I took up golfing recently. Okay, this is much rougher than this is much rougher than I'd be in a real plane. I would never do this. You hear that squeaking? That's a imminent stall warning. I would never do that in an actual plane. A very, very dangerous thing to do. But I wanted to take a look around. So I took up golfing recently, and I'm having a lot of fun learning it and getting outdoors. I was kind of made fun of people who played it, and then I realized it's just a long walk in a beautiful, immaculate park. And oh, by the way, you get to play a game while you're there. So that's a wonderful thing to do. I'm really enjoying it. So maybe I'll head down there to that golf course. Okay. We are approaching the village of Cornwood. You can see it in the distance there. Cornwood is even smaller. It's what's called the Verde Valley, the Green Valley in Spanish, Verde. Take a chance to look out this beautiful desert landscape. A lot of people think of deserts as like the Sahara or something like that, Saudi Arabian desert. I've been to a lot of deserts in my life, and they're not all just barren sand dunes or something like that. They have a lot of this vegetation around, very short shrubs or cacti or something like that. And if you've never been to one, you think it's like just golden, right? Like golden or yellow sand everywhere, but it actually, this is really more like what it looks like. Very, very, very short grass, very, very short trees, but still green. In my opinion. Maybe you don't think that's green, but something like that. Right now we're just cruising here. I'm going to pull back, throttle a little bit. Sometimes in this game I like to just go full throttle forward and go fast. And I guess that's something you could do, yeah, sure. Like that, and then throttle up. Now we're going to go a lot faster, and I'm going to raise my airspeed, and that's fine too. We are now past the village of Cornwood, and we are approaching, it's not Cornwood, it's Cornville. We're approaching Cottonwood. We just passed, if you look off right about, hang on, bear with me. It's funny when a pilot says bear with me, because that's like what they do. Right? They get their bearing. We're flying over Red Rock State Park. And I think right ahead of us, if you look down in the valley, right about there, you can see right there, the village of Page Springs. I love coming up in these mountains here. Such a beautiful landscape. I mean, if you've ever wanted to just seek like peace in your spirit, coming up to the mountains. I mean, people have been seeking mountains for thousands of years, and it's no wonder why if you've ever been to one. Absolutely no wonder why. Okay, we're going to be approaching Cornwood at the end of this flight. Let's see if we can dial it in here. We don't want Albuquerque Center. We're not going to waste our time doing that today. Now we land at Cottonwood. I keep saying Cornwood. It's Cornville, Cottonwood. And we want to land on runway 32.
Papa 52 traffic check 129er miles east 5,200 feet inbound to land runway 32.
Gonna cut off this way, and we should just about be able to see the airport. It's at 9 miles. Right about there. I don't know if you can see it. Roughly right there. We're gonna just head right there. We're about 8 miles out, I think. And there we are. I believe there's Cornville right there, down in the valley. The wine trail is absolutely amazing. It stretches all the way from Jeremy to Sedona. If you ever get a chance to do it, you could spend forever on that trail. I mean, like a whole week or more, you know, depending on if you're a wine fan. Okay, we're going to turn just a little bit in here. And we're looking for runway 32. So I am going to slow down the aircraft. And I'm going to maybe lean the mixture just a little bit. And I think we're going to start to trim up. Just like that. In order to slow the aircraft. Okay, we are at 5,000 feet. And we still have a ways to go. 8 more miles. We're going to stick this landing, everybody. It's a little wobbly when you're playing it as a game, but like the joystick has a lot to do with that. In a real aircraft, you basically keep your hand on the wheel and you just kind of steer it in. And it's not that hard. It's a lot easier. Okay, let's tell everybody where we are.
Papa 52 traffic check 125 miles east 5,000 feet inbound to land runway tree 2.
That's how, again, that's exactly how we would do it regularly. This is an untowered airport, so the pilots have to talk to each other. You don't even know if anybody is listening. Anybody could be on this frequency at any time. And you want to basically always be announcing your position, especially when you're about 10 miles out and 5 miles out. And then we are going to be discussing I think I'm going to do like a teardrop entry. Not exactly sure yet. I'm not going to get the wind. In real life, I would definitely get the weather for this airport, but I mean, here it doesn't much matter. We're only like 30 miles away from our origination point. So we're going to be landing into the wind, I think, mostly. It's really a crosswind, but because I think the wind was coming from 1.5, if I recall. Yeah, 1.5. I don't have to recall because I write it down. That's how you do it. Yoke jockeys here flying their planes just wherever the heck they want.
Papa 52 traffic check 123 miles east 4,800 feet inbound to land runway tree 2.
Would be basically saying, oh, we don't care what the weather is. I'll remember it. Who cares? It's only 9 miles. But like a good pilot will write it down. And then they will always have it. Especially when you start to learn your instrument flight rules. In that case, you definitely want to have it all written down because you're going to have to read it back and the controller will get quite mad at you if you aren't. Okay, we're going to be entering the base leg here. There are 4 corners to land here. There is the upwind, there's the crosswind, the downwind, and the base leg. And the downwind, and I haven't actually flown into this airport here. I can see it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here. There's the runway right ahead of us. You see it starts back here and stretches all across this line. Hard to see if you're not a pilot, I understand. So let's go ahead and do that. And another thing about this,
Papa 52 traffic check 12 is on base runway tree 2.
another thing that makes this much more difficult in a simulator is that I can't turn my head. So normally what I would be doing, it's like if you turn into your driveway. If you turn into your driveway, you just look at the driveway, right? Like out your window. And then as you turn, you keep your head looking at the driveway and you just turn the car. Well, here I can't really quite do that because I got hands on the joystick and I have to use the mouse to turn my head like this. So it's a much more difficult. In real life, I would be looking out the passenger side, basically, right there at the runway. That way, as it were. And just trying to stick the landing. So we're going to be doing a visual approach here. It's not Papa 52, it's Cottonwood is what it would be actually called. All right, where's the runway? We're guessing. Can't see it because too much stuff in the way. There's the runway. I overflew it. Yeah, okay. All right, let's try to set the... All right, you know what? I'm going to go around. I could bring that in, but I'm not going to. So we're going to overfly the runway.
Papa 52 traffic check 12 going around.
Yeah, we're going to go around. There's no one else here, and this is a video game, so we're just going to, like, take off again. And we're going to go around. So the idea is that I want to get more distant from the airport. Let's cut it off right here. Okay, so I'm looking at my heading. It's 3-3. So I want to go N 3 6. There we go. Okay. Now we're flying directly away from the runway. We're just going to go a little bit. Not too far. And then we're going to loop around. Bring it back in. Yeah, I mean, I would do a much more professional setup. Okay, so I want to turn to the 1.5. So it'd be like 145. E 12 140. Right about there. And roll out on that heading. Okay, now I'm holding that aircraft in position. Let's look out our window. Have we met the threshold? Yes, we have. We're past the edge of the runway. So in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the flaps in. Oh, and I'm ballooning up. We don't want to do that. We definitely want to keep our speed at about... You're supposed to go 75 and then 65. And I think it's 50 to land. I got to look again. But let's go ahead and keep that nose down. There we go. Difficult in a simulator. So now we're going to turn in toward the runway. We've overflown it enough. I actually have a button on my joystick that automatically deploys the flaps, but I like to do it here for your benefit. There's the field. We're going to get it this time. Now that I have my speed controlled, aim a little slow. So we're going to go like this. And we're going to speed up, and I want to hold it at about 60 or 55. Giving it a little bit more throttle so that I don't sink as fast, but we do want to be sinking. And now I would love to be looking at the airport, but I cannot. Here we go. There's your runway. So we're going to do like a 45. Let's tell everybody that we are on final.
Papa 52 traffic check 12 is on final runway tree 2 to land.
And we're going to roll out right there on that runway. Don't turn too fast. You don't want to turn too early and then have to move sideways. Okay, I almost have enough fuel to cut the power here. Or, sorry, enough energy. Okay, we're looking for that center line. I am way to the left. So now that we've tracking the center line, I really wish my joystick were more sensitive. We're just going to float down to the 32. And then now I use my long eyes. Stick to the end of the runway. And I just float on down. Here we go. Slamming on the brakes. Easy touchdown. No problems. Let's go ahead and exit the runway on the taxi line. Again, difficult in a simulator. Very easy in real life because you can't quite get the turning radius correct on this thing. And there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we saw Sedona. We saw the Sedona Wine Trail. We saw Red Rock State Park. We saw the Verde Valley. We saw Oak Creek. And we saw Cornville. And now here we are at Cottonwood. So I hope you enjoyed your ride on Phoenix Airlines today. Let's shut her down right here. Why bother taxiing in anywhere when we can just go ahead and park her right here on the ramp? Let's shut down the fuel. Let's shut down the avionics. Boy, that was fun. Here I am, your fearless pilot. Was that fun for you? If you like this kind of thing, hit the like button if you want to see more. If you want to see your hometown, if you want me to fly over your house, let me know where you want to go. Give me a latitude, give me a longitude. I'll be happy to fly there. If you want to see a different plane, if you want to see an Airbus, if you want to see a Boeing, I don't know, 737 or something, I can do that. I got jets, I've got helicopters, I've got all kinds of things. You want to see sightseeing around New York, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., or something like that, let me know in the comments. And this is Phoenix, your pilot. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I'll see you later.